Hey guys, Sly here, and before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know that this is actually a re-upload of a part of a series that I do on my Twitch channel called the Sly Army Tierlists, where we pretty much rank a bunch of just random topics that I'm personally interested in. And so, because of that, these opinions are not set in stone for how I feel about in the current day. And so if you guys want a more updated version of that, feel free to either check out the DeviantArt link down below or tune in on my Twitch that will also be in the description, or check out my Discord where I occasionally post some more updated versions of how I feel about certain topics. And so do keep that in mind. And also make sure to check out the description of the video itself for the timestamps for the particular topic that is presented here. But in any event, I hope you guys do at least enjoy. I recommend you guys listen to this as either like a podcast form or as just something to play in the background. But in any event, hope you guys at least enjoy. Hey guys, Sly here, and welcome back to another tier list stream and the first anniversary for the tier list series. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Granted, I wish I was able to have people on here, but unfortunately something popped up. Obviously I have to respect that, because at the end of the day we can't necessarily control what happens. So that is a bit unfortunate, but either way, I've got a little bit of a special one for y'all, and we are in fact doing a Halo tier list tonight. So I did Call of Duty, I did Battlefield, it's only fair that I do a Halo one. Yes, I know technically we did rank some of these in the top 100 FPS tier list, so obviously, you know, in terms of like my opinions, they haven't necessarily changed, but with this particular tier list, because there's only so many games, I actually decided to do a little bit of a different ranking with this. So, but before we get into that, I just want to say thank you guys for, you know, sticking around for as long as you have, and even just been around a lot of these tier list videos, because it helps me out a lot. It also helps Austin, Dylan, and Izzy whenever they're on, and obviously I do thank them for joining in, or at least trying to join in. Once again, Izzy was supposed to be on here, but which makes me very upset that he's not able to join in, but unfortunately stuff popped up, and yeah, unfortunately I have to do this on my own, which it does kind of suck, because you know me, I hate doing like these types of streams on my own, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So in any event, yeah, so I guess we should talk about just my personal history with Halo. So, oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but I got some new gear. I've got a green one of these. I've got a beanie. I've got a new necklace. So be prepared to see, you know, a lot more of this in future streams, mainly just because low key I kind of want to just change up my look. So there's that. But yeah, no, I should probably just tell you guys about my history with Halo, generally speaking. So obviously, yes, I will just admit this right now, I am more of a PlayStation person. You know, obviously Sly Cooper being my favorite game series of all time, alongside Ratchet and Clank, Spyro to a certain extent, although not too much. And you know, that was just the console brand that I grew up with. That being said, that does not mean that I trash on Xbox, because Halo as a series I think is phenomenal, and in terms of single player FPS games, it's actually my favorite series, like in terms of that. So, which I know is a bit surprising coming from someone who has been, you know, there's been a lot of like rumors and accusations of me being you know, a PlayStation person, but that's not particularly the case, because I think Halo is, generally speaking, one of my personal favorite sci-fi universes as well. Like I love just reading a bunch of like the lore and stuff. And like especially, a lot of the dynamic between the humans and the Covenant and the Forerunners and the Flood and whatever they were called, the Precursors. I think it's just a really cool, sort of universe that, does set itself apart from a lot of other sci-fi franchises. Like I said, I would consider this to probably be my second favorite sci-fi franchise, only first to Star Wars, but that's a whole other tier list and topic that we can get into at some later date. But generally speaking, is just a series that I've grown up with for a long time now, especially since my cousins, they were really big into Halo because they were more of the Microsoft Xbox people. And, it was just a franchise that I kind of grew up with. That being said, keep in mind that it was mostly through the campaign and whatever, third game mode that they would come out with. I never really got huge into multiplayer personally, mainly just because it is such a steep learning curve in terms of how well you can get good at it. Because unlike many other arena shooters at the time, it was definitely more in sort of that stuff. But generally speaking, yeah, okay, sorry, I just got a message from my friend, but I'll message him later. Once again, it's my friend Izzy. He was supposed to join in, but once again, stuff happened. But generally speaking, yeah, no, Halo is, in terms of multiplayer, I was never really big into. Although I am okay at Halo 1 and Reach multiplayer. That's all I'm going to say. So, because of that, I don't think it would be fair to really rank them based off of the multiplayer, because that is not my forte. So in this particular case, we're going to be ranking them off of the campaigns. Normally I would do multiplayer, but because I'm not particularly well at it, I don't really want to rank it because I know that would heavily affect my score. So with that in mind, I've got a few other stipulations besides that. As you can see, we are not just ranking the first-person shooter games. We are also ranking the strategy games as well as the Twitch. I don't even know what they're called. The thumbstick shooter types. So yeah, the ones where you just. I know I'm using a PlayStation controller. It should be more about an Xbox game, but I don't care. But you know what I mean. It's those types of games. And as you can see, we are including those, but we are not including any sort of repackaging of a game. So, for example, no Halo 3 Mythic, because that's basically just Halo 3 multiplayer. No Halo Anniversary, because that's basically just Halo 1 with Halo Reach multiplayer. And we're not including the MCC because that is basically just a collection of different games, similar to Spyro Reignited Trilogy or the Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection, or the God of War collections. It's more in line with something like that, as opposed to something that you would consider to be its own separate game. So that's why that's not going to be counted. Only releases that were on either PC or console. So that is what I'm judging all of this off of, just to let y'all know. And yeah, so that also doesn't include all the books or the comics or the expanded movies and TV shows. So no Fall of Reach book, no Halo cartoon, anime, no Forward Up to Dawn. Forward Up to Dawn, by the way, was really bad. I don't recommend that. That show was awful. And no Halo Infinite multiplayer beta. Actually, that's one of the reasons why I'm actually ranking this, is because I'm excited for Halo Infinite. Granted, I'm still worried because of the initial Halo Infinite gameplay trailer. You go watch our E3 podcast pretty much for more of my thoughts on that, but that's besides the point. Basically, I am definitely more into just ranking all the mainline Halo games and the spin-off games that were released on PC or console. I guess, but whatever. So, this does include both eras of Halo, the Bungie era and the 343 era. There's gonna be a lot of, sour tastes in people's mouths. Because, it's a very divisive franchise, I'd say. Just generally speaking. Because guess what? There's some people who absolutely love the older games, but completely just despise the newer ones. And surprisingly enough, for some people, that's actually vice versa. Some people love the newer Halo games, and they don't particularly like the older games. Which, that wounds me a little bit, because I will admit I am definitely a part of the former group, but I have to digress. So, that being said, I think that's all I gotta say, other than talking about how we're ranking these, because unlike all the other tier lists that I've done involving music, video games, or even TV shows, because there's only just so many Halo games that have been made, there's literally only like 11, I decided that there should really only be about 4 tiers. Yes, I know I have 5, but that's only because there's only one game I haven't played. So, in terms of how I'm doing the tiers this time, I'm doing it by C, O, G, and T. So C is the Master Chief tier, meaning that it's a god tier game, and that I think it's an amazing game. Because here's the thing. I actually do generally like most of the Halo games. Because unlike a franchise like Battlefield or Call of Duty, where, there's some games that I really, really like, and then some games that I really, really don't like, generally speaking, I do like more games in Halo than I don't. And so that's why I have the Chief tier and the Godly tier. And then I also have the O tier, which is known as shortened for the ODST tier. It means it's a good game, but it's not my favorite in the series. Uncompared to games that I would put in the C Godly tier, so the Chief tier. And then we've got the G tier, the Grunt tier, which for a bit of a meme that I just set up in a previous take, is what I am going to refer to as... Oh my god, I need to reset this up. God damn it. This is still an experiment, by the way. I'm experimenting for later tier lists. Alright, here we go.
It's not good.
No, I did it too late. But okay, yeah, I'm pulling Anthony Fantano for his opinions on
This. It's not good.
There we go. Okay, I need to sync that up better. But basically, it's the not good tier. Basically, it's games that aren't really all that great, or at least are just not my favorite in the series. And then, as you can tell from T means trash. These are games that I just don't like at all. So, yeah. So that might trigger some people, but I don't care. That being said, I think that's all I've got to really say about in terms of my background with Halo and just how we're going to be ranking this. And yeah, once again, I'm still excited about this because Halo is amongst one of my top 5 favorite video game franchises of all time. So this is going to be very interesting to rank. So yeah, now I think that's it. So I think we're ready to really just dive ourselves into this because oh shoot. Yeah, I think I'm ready. So let's get into this. So just like before, I'm going to be doing these in release order. So we'll start off with Halo Combat Evolved, and then we'll end it with Halo Wars 2. So And well, here we go. This is the first game, Halo Combat Evolved. This came out in 2001, 20 years ago. Like, it's weird to think that this game is that old now. Like, cause I remember, like, I was still like a kid. I was like basically a kid whenever, or like, yeah, early kid whenever this first came out. And so like I don't really remember the launch for Halo 1, but I do know that like it was definitely groundbreaking for its time. And it's for good reason. So I'm actually okay. Just to let y'all know as well, we have talked about this on the first. We talked about this on the top 100 FPS tier list. I'm actually going to get a little bit more in depth compared to what I talked about in that, because guess what? This is already a god tier game. Like, because this hot take for y'all, this is my personal favorite Halo game. I definitely don't think it's the best, because I think there's one game that's a bit better, but in terms of what I like from a Halo game, this to me is as good as it gets. Because here's the thing about this game that was pretty big for its time. So the thing about a lot of games from the early 2000s, especially when it comes to FPS games, is that the idea of a Doom clone was still relevant and was still pretty big. So games like, obviously Doom, but also Quake, Unreal, Half-Life, even Time Splitters and Serious Sam to a certain extent, they had a specific formula where it was basically the big muscly power guy taking out, pretty much going up against all impossible odds to basically just, go from point A to point B. Halo was a little bit different compared to all of those games. And if you have seen throughout my particular walkthrough for this game, it's pretty evident, especially since, this was, the first game, or amongst one of the first games to launch with the original Xbox console. And not only, was it not just a game that, was pretty ahead of its time, it freaking knocked down the fucking door in terms of innovating for console shooters. Because beforehand, there were a couple games that were, regarded as classics, like Time Splitters and Perfect Dark and, some of those other games. But the thing is that a lot of those games started to become a bit dated, especially not Time Splitters, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. And they were on the N64, which I'm a huge critic of. Fight me on that one. But the thing about this game is that it had the controls nailed perfectly. Yes, it was a bit, hard to control because it was using the Duke controller, which I know that was blah. But in terms of a console shooter, it actually controlled pretty damn well, and was amongst one of the first games to sort of have a comfortable layout for controlling a first-person shooter, if I'm just gonna be quite frank. And that was just in terms of the controls. In terms of like the level design being vastly open, similar to a Serious Sam game, it was pretty cool, especially for coming from a new console at the time. And also taking a lot of cues from not only a bunch of those Doom clone games that were released throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, but also taking cues from a lot more slower paced games, especially games like Medal of Honor, or even a little bit of Rainbow Six, for example, or at least in terms of how you can only have 2 weapons at a time. This game helped really shape how we play first-person shooters as we know it, just off of that. And just also just being a fun game. Like, I know that might sound cheesy, but like it was a genuinely fun experience, for back then. And even nowadays I have fun going back into this single player, especially with a lot of the things that they would set up for later installments, coming up with the Covenant and just sort of like, not necessarily setting up their goals, but at least establishing them as the main, enemy antagonist force. But then later on, which by the way, if you can't tell from the title of the stream, spoilers, because Halo is a very story-based franchise. The introduction of the Flood in this game and even the Forerunner AI was a pretty cool dynamic, especially the Flood, because they're not just stereotypical space zombies. Like, they have a purpose, and they explain a lot of that, especially in levels like 343 Guilty Spark and the library, which does exemplify that, the Flood, they're not a threat to fuck around with. Like, they are something that you should probably fear. So, and also establishing the Halo rings, which obviously is one of the biggest focal points of Halo. I mean, dude, that's literally where the name comes from. It's the Halo rings, the giant, destructible, basically more powerful than a Death Star sort of thing that can wipe out 99% of all life on a galaxy. Yeah, that's a massive threat if you ask me. So, and also even some of the supporting cast, obviously you have Chief himself, who just only has a couple lines in the game. He doesn't really talk too much, but also having Cortana and Captain Keyes and Johnson. It was a cool experience and a pretty innovative title for 2001. Like, not many other shooters were fully this committed into crafting its own universe. Like, not even Half-Life 1 and Unreal were doing all this sort of stuff. And you gotta give props to the team who were able to craft this game. Also, I almost forgot, being one of the first FPS games, especially on console, for allowing you to use vehicles. People forget that, but I mean, that's a pretty big deal right there too. So, and all in all, it's just a good game. Like, go check it out. Either get it on, either get Halo Anniversary or, get it on MCC. Hell, if you even have an original Xbox, play it on that, like, play the original copy. I mean, it's only like, what, 15 USD now? So, yeah, no, that would definitely be a cool Christmas gift, even though it's a 20-year-old game. But either way, go check it out. You won't regret it. So there you go. That's there's a little bit more of an explanation for me when it comes to Halo 1. Once again, I love this game. This is my favorite out of the franchise. I know that might not be like, this might not be everyone's favorite. I think a lot of people at least respect it, but to me, it's my personal favorite. So, because I just love how this game controls, dude. Like, oh my god. So, I will say this, though. Excuse me. The one thing that does hold this game back, in my opinion, is actually the level of the library. That's just a really annoying level. Basically, just having to deal with those freaking Flood, and the rocket Flood is annoying as hell, I swear to God. But, as even on all the difficulties, easy, normal, heroic, and legendary, the game is actually pretty good. And fair. It's fair with its challenge. So, I gotta give props and credit where credit is due on that. So yeah, I'm not gonna drag this on any longer. Point being, this game is great. Go check it out. Then we have to move on to Halo 2. And I've got to, I got to address the elephant in the room. Yes, I know. I started playing Halo 2 earlier this month. Or at least, like, for the stream. I've actually played it before. But I will get back to it next month. And I'll play through it for y'all. I'm sorry. It's just there's a lot that has been going on in my life. So don't worry. I'll get back to it. That being said, actually, funny enough, I didn't actually play this on the original Xbox. I actually played this on PC because the thing about Halo 1 and 2 is that they were for the longest time, up until the Steam releases of MCC, these were the only two Halo games that were released on PC. And so this was the game that I actually played this on PC first, and then I eventually played it on console, and then I ended up just playing on MCC anyways. So this is the only game. So yeah, basically this is the only game that I actually have not played an original copy of. Although I've seen my cousins play the original game on like their own copy. So that being said, I'm just gonna spoil pretty much everything that happens here. So if you're wanting to see me go and play through, just wait a little bit in terms of watching this. Go watch that in the near future whenever I get that done, and then go back here. Anyways, so I will just say this right now. This game actually has a pretty ballsy story to it. So this is obviously being the sequel to Halo 1. There was a lot of ambitions for this game in terms of, setting up the bar even higher than Halo 1 did, because Halo 1 already set it up pretty strong. So what Halo 2 decided to do was get a little bit more philosophical and a little bit more deep with its story. So the thing about Halo 2 that I actually really do dig in my opinion, is definitely the best part of this game, is just a lot of the messages and the themes that are in this game. Because the theme for this game, like, here's the thing about Halo 1. Halo 1, it was basically a game about morality for the most part. Like, being able to just, decide whether or not it's a good idea to wipe out the flood, but wiping everyone else out in the process, or, all that sort of stuff, right? So it was more of a question of ethics. This game takes a little bit of that theme and pushes it even further by introducing theocracy and religion into the themes, especially involving the Covenant. Because this game fleshed out the Covenant as being a theocratic autocracy, which I think fits, sort of the Covenant theme, and I love that they used that. Especially considering the fact that, like, not many games, or even just games nowadays, take risks like that in terms of, tackling such a very controversial topic. And I'll just say this right now, I might be a little bit biased because, if you've seen it before, it's no surprise that I am personally an atheist, because I don't really personally believe in that stuff. And to see a game tackle those themes and, sort of showcase that, hey, maybe your religion's kind of bullshit, it really rings home to me. Like, and I will just say this right now, just, especially if you're watching this on the MCC Halo 2 anniversary, oh my god, like, those cutscenes are so great. So yeah, no, generally speaking, and also, even besides just those deep and heavy themes, the writing and the characters, I think, is a little bit better, generally speaking. Cortana's more fleshed out, Johnson's more fleshed out, because Captain Keyes did die in the first game because he got absorbed by that grave mind. I don't remember. Oh, proto grave mind. Excuse me. That's right. Sorry, I need to brush up on my Halo lore just a little bit, but yeah, no, he died. He died to that thing. His daughter took his place. So, and honestly, they're kind of cool for the most part. Like, they're all right. Chief has a little bit more. He speaks a little bit more, but not too much to where it's distracting. As a matter of fact, a lot of his one-liners are great. Like, to give the Covenant back their bomb. Like, hell fucking yeah, dude. That's such a good line. I know that's at the very beginning of the game, but oh my god, it's still a great line, and also just that whole scene is really goddamn good. If you remember me watching, like, playing that from earlier, it's golden. That being said, honestly, I'd say that's probably okay. Well, I'll say this as well about the other half of playing the game, because obviously you play as Master Chief, like that's just a given at this point. But the thing about Halo 2 that makes it different from Halo 1 is you actually play between two different characters. The first half you play as Master Chief, and then the other half you play as my boy Arbiter. Hell yeah, dude. So Arbiter being pretty much an elite who pretty much led the attack on the Halo ring, but then he had to become an Arbiter. It's a whole spew. I really don't want to get into it. But basically, you play through his perspective and pretty much become one of the main leaders in fighting a civil war against the Covenant. So basically, while you're playing as Master Chief, you obviously, do some similar stuff that you've done in the first game. Fight against the Covenant, learn about their plan to try to get onto, activate the Halo rings or whatever. But then you actually get this other side of the coin with Arbiter and see the perspective, the Human Covenant war at least a little bit under the Covenant perspective. And that's something that, I think is really cool. And, a lot of his, scenes are pretty goddamn memorable. I mean, who can forget the scene where they replaced the elites with the brutes? Oh my god, that wounds me, and that really does wound me. So that being said, though, one more thing. So obviously increasing the weapon arsenal for both the UNSC and the Covenant, I think was pretty cool. And also, show don't tell as the main philosophy of just, telling Halo 2 story, I think was definitely pretty bold. That being said, though, this game is definitely a flawed game. So the game is way more linear compared to Halo 1. It's not completely linear, but it's way more noticeable. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that is a bit of an observation and something that some people might be a little bit disappointed with, especially coming off of Halo 1. So there's that. Also, I'm not gonna lie, certain weapons that were in Halo 1 and were brought back into Halo 2, they just don't feel as good. Okay, I think the Needler definitely feels way better in Halo 2 than it does in Halo 1. But, the Magnum was done dirty. Because the Magnum was, one of the best weapons in the game in Halo 1. But then they nerfed it to the fucking ground in Halo 2. Which, it's just... that sucks. Granted, it looks like it's a different model. But still, dude. That does hurt a lot. Also, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the human weapons just kind of feel trash to use, especially the SMGs. Granted, I love the ability to dual wield. I wish it was in more games. But, I don't know, just, it doesn't feel nice to use. I will say this, though. The battle rifle is okay. I know it's amazing and broken in multiplayer, which I know Halo 2 multiplayer is pretty fucking broken, but we're not ranking that. But in the campaign, it's okay. But then we get the biggest issue with this game, in my opinion. Yeah, here's the biggest issue when it comes to Halo 2. The difficulty. Now, I already mentioned that Halo 1 actually did pretty damn good when it comes to its difficulty. It is a challenge, but it's fair, because, a lot of it has to do with a lot of the reflexes and a lot of reaction time that you have to do in the game itself. But in Halo 2, especially, and this is more noticeable on Heroic and Legendary, not so much on Easy and Normal, but definitely the more difficult difficulties. It just feels like it's more or less just kind of, unfair and, quite frankly, kind of bullshit. Obviously, if I were talking about the Jackal snipers, I would just be beating a dead horse. For context for people, the Covenant is actually split up into multiple different, races. You've got grunts, elites, brutes, jackals, hunters, prophets, drones, etc. The jackals in particular, some of them can be like guard type guys with like shields and stuff, but some of them are snipers and they're annoying as hell. So yeah, no, that's kind of bullshit. Also, High Charity as a level, it's fucking broken. Like, especially on Legendary, where literally the second you spawn, you've got like 3 seconds to react. Otherwise, you're dead. It's kind of stupid. So yeah, no. Unfortunately, in terms of difficulty, it is a bit disappointing. Although I do like the introduction of brutes and drones in this game. Excuse me. Because in Halo 1, you had grunts, elites, jackals, hunters, flood infection forms, flood combat forms, the carriers, and the forerunner drones as enemies. Halo 2 introduced the drones and the brutes. And, you know, I think they're a cool addition to the game. Like, they definitely add not only a bunch of variety of different enemies, but also adds, like, some sort of, like, it adds a bit more to the enemy sandbox, you know? Like, it adds a bit more, you know, of a challenge. So, that's just me, though. Also, I'm not gonna lie. Though, here's a bit of another negative, and it's probably partially due to the fact that, like, you know, Halo 1 and, like, yeah, Halo 3 and Halo 2 Anniversary cutscenes look way better. Hell, I personally think Halo 1 cutscenes look better. But is it just me, or do Halo 2, like, normal cutscenes look really bad? Like, I didn't express this whenever I was streaming it earlier this month, but, like, god damn, these cutscenes look awful. Like, just looking at them. Like, you could tell they're straight out of, like, the early, like, okay, that's not even early 2000s by this point. It's the mid 2000s by this point. Like, and by this point, like, we've had so many games released on the 6th gen that it's kind of unacceptable for Halo to kind of look like Halo 2 to look like the way that it does. And to be fair, there is a reason why Halo 2 has had a lot of issues. It's because the game was in development hell. Because there was a lot of background drama and, like, unmet deadlines and, like, a lot of overtime work that happened in the development for Halo 2, and that ultimately resulted in the product that we got now, or that we got at the time. And it does kind of suck that happened, because, you know, it could have been, you know, an amazing game. But, you know, it's just kind of gimped in a lot of ways. That's not to say that it's a bad game. It's fine, you know? Like, I mentioned this in the top 100 FPS games. Like, it's a good game, but it's not quite as good as Halo 1, in my opinion. And so I'm going to put this in the ODST tier, the good tier. It's a good game, but I would be cautious about it. Also, the fucking ending was dumb as hell. It was just a cliffhanger ending where you don't even get to see that in Halo 3, which is so dumb. But regardless, though, I still would consider it to be at least an alright experience. To me, at least. So. Sorry, it's just. Oh my god. So, yeah, that's sort of my opinions on Halo 2. Just more in depth. Now let's get into some juicy territory again. So, Halo 3. I'm just going to say this right now. This is probably I think most people would objectively say this is the best Halo game. And I'm going to put this in the godly chief tier. Like, oh, I forgot to mention this before with Halo 2. People hated transitioning between Arbiter and Master Chief. I forgot to mention that. Which... hot take for y'all. I actually like that, but whatever. Anyways, Halo 3. So, Halo 3. This game, it actually probably has the best. Okay, Halo 2 has the best layout for a story, but Halo 3 has the best execution of a story. Basically, Basically, Halo 3 is what I would like to describe is pretty much, it's pretty much the fallout of the events of Halo 2. You know, like it's essentially, continuing on, near the end of the Human Covenant War and going into more depth with the Covenant Civil War that's going on. And, I think that's definitely, a nice breath of air change, especially since in Halo 3, you don't fight elites at all. The reason being is because the elites were like the main species from the Covenant that split away from the said Covenant and decided to ally with the UNSC. And so instead of fighting a lot of elites, you fight a lot of brutes. You still fight grunts, even though grunts kind of rebelled in Halo 2, but I guess it's more of a narrative thing. I'm not getting into that. But basically, that added a little bit more of a dynamic in terms of like who was, allying with who. I know that sounds cheesy, but that's generally how I would describe it. Also, the voice casting, like in my opinion, like the voice acting was probably at its best in this game. Like, granted, I know some people hated how the Prophet of Truth's voice changed in Halo 3 compared to Halo 2. Prophet of Truth being basically the leader of the Covenant in Halos 2 and 3. Sorry, I gotta give context. I see where they're coming from, because in Halo 2, he seemed like he was a bit more of a wise man figure. A bit scheming, but he was a bit more, it seemed like he was a bit more quote-unquote noble, for lack of a better term. But in Halo 3, he kind of felt more like a stereotypical bad guy, which, I mean, people aren't necessarily wrong about that, but I still think he did a perfect... Excuse me. I am so sorry about that, but I still felt like the voice acting was still really good in that. Obviously, the death of... oh my god, yeah, the freaking death of Johnson, man. No, dude. Why you gotta do that to me? Also, fuck you, 343 Guilty Spark. I hate you so much. Which I forgot to mention him. He was in the first 2 Halo games. He was basically like a Forerunner AI. God. To be fair, I really did not like him in those 2 games, and I don't like him in Halo 3 because he has a really annoying voice. He's kind of like, I don't want to call him like a Jar Jar Binks sort of character, but he's a similar role, except he actually is a main character in the plot. And like, god damn it, man. Ugh. That makes me mad every time. So that being said, though, the Flood get more involved. Actually, way more involved in this game than Halo 2. Yes, I know they got into High Charity, but whatever. Halo 3, they got really involved, and they really ramped up, the threat of the Flood in Halo 3. Like, generally speaking, and also gave them really creepy noises and also really creepy transformation animations. Like, it's so creepy. I hate it. Okay, no, I love it, but I hate it. But I don't know. And also just the level design. While not as open as Halo 1, it definitely felt way more open than Halo 2. Probably because by this point they figured out how to properly, manage time and all that stuff, and it resulted in the project. Which, by the way, this has nothing to do with the gameplay, but especially compared to Halo 2, Halo 3 looks fucking beautiful even today. That game's 14 years old and it still looks so goddamn clean and good. It looks so goddamn good. Like, which that's just a testament to the art design for the Bungie era Halo games, is that especially Halo 3, like, oh my god, Halo 3 looks so goddamn good. Like, also, the weapons don't feel like trash in this game. Well, except for with some people, the Brute Spiker, but it's whatever. It's okay. But yeah, no, like, weapons feel viable in this game again, and just I don't know, it's just there's not really a way for me to describe, Halo 3 in terms of like how it controls and feels, because you have to play for yourself, but it does feel really smooth. And arguably, along with Halo 1, you can debate on between the two, but Halos like 1 and 3, you can argue that they have the best feeling controls. So I would argue Reach, but there's some things that are kind of finicky about Reach, which we'll get into later. But generally speaking, go play Halo 3. The ending, man. This was one of the very few games that made me cry in the end, man. Like, it makes me sad every time. Oh boy, Chief. Yeah. It does make me sad. Like, seriously, there are very few games that make me cry. The only other game that made me cry at the end was Sly 3. Halo 3's ending is really sad, especially, by the time that Chief and RB, decide to separate their differences. It's great. It's really great, because they had a bit of a tension at the beginning of the game, but like, it's great. It's sad, but it's great. So, all right. That being said, though, that's the trilogy. That's the original trilogy, which I don't actually remember what people call it, but we're just gonna call it the Bungie trilogy. And we're gonna actually talk about our first spin-off. So this is also our first non-FPS game. This is called Halo Wars. So I don't remember who made this game, although I do know that the sequel was made by Creative Assembly, and Creative Assembly made the Total War games. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge for tier list. Who made Halo Wars? Wasn't Ensemble? Yeah, it was made by Ensemble, who also made... Oh, they made Age of Empires, okay. Oh, okay. I forgot about that. Okay, so yeah, it's made by Ensemble, the same people who made the Age of Empires series, as well as Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds and Age of Mythology. So that's cool. Unfortunately, this is their last project, so yeah. That being said, this one's a difficult one. So here's the thing. Like I said, this is not a first-person shooter. This is actually a real-time strategy game. And I'm probably in the minority, but I actually do like this game. I'm actually going to put this in the good tier. Why do I put this in the good tier? It's because it's actually a really good strategy game, RTS game. Like, I don't know why, but like in terms of like strategy games, I really love RTS games. Like Dawn of War, Age of Empires, the battles for Total War. What's another one that I really... Warcraft, but I don't want to talk about that because Blizzard sucks. Supreme Commander. Like, there's so many good RTS games out there. Like, there's not really too many bad RTS games. Company of Heroes, Homeworld. Like, there's so many good ones, and in my opinion, this is not an exception to that rule. Granted, it's a little bit more bare bones, but that's not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, I think that in terms of introducing people to RTS games, this is a good introduction to people. That being said, it does have its issues. I do feel like the balancing is definitely in the Covenant's favor. Oh my god, like, yeah, the balancing is not... It ain't there, Chief. It definitely ain't there. And that's a bit of a problem. Because it kind of, like, especially if you're going up against players. I know I said I wasn't going to include, like, PvP multiplayer. But like, oh my god, it can get frustrating. It can really get annoying, especially when you get like hero units, especially the Prophet of Regret, who can literally just do a giant beam of death and destroy all your like units and stuff. Like, it's so broken. But also, I'm not gonna lie, like, definitely the story definitely is gimped. Like, it's not really all that memorable. I do remember that it does take place on Harvest, and I do remember Captain Cutter and, you know, him, and as well as the Arbiter of the Time. It's not RB from Halo 2 or 3, it's a different Arbiter. Although the Prophet of Regret is alive, even though we killed him in Halo 2, but whatever. Well, this game takes place 20 years before, but whatever. Generally speaking, though, like, I think what makes me really like this game is just how it feels, or at least on console. On PC, it's a bit but it's a good console port of an RTS game, excuse me. And I gotta give props to Ensemble for being able to really translate the Halo universe into that sort of style, especially, you know, adding a lot more different units into this game, such as the Locust and the Cyclops and the Engineers, because this was the first game that they got introduced in, and just really exemplifying the scale of this conflict. I think that's what this game accomplishes the most, is that it really does showcase, the scale on what battles could look like in the Halo universe. So that's why I really like it. That being said, it is just barely in good. Like, it's like teetering that line. So I would be a bit cautious for, you know, people who would probably play this, because it's definitely different. It's a different game genre. So if you don't like RTS games, just don't even bother. But if you do like RTS games, I would check it out. So that being said, here we go. Halo ODST. Oh boy. So I remember that this was like the first game that people really gave a lot of shit to, because people were just saying that this was just $60 DLC for Halo 3. I mean, it even has the name Halo 3 in it, so that really did piss off a lot of people. And I get the criticism. I'm not gonna lie. Like, in all honesty, it really should have just been an expansion to Halo 3, because the thing is that this game, its story, okay, the story was okay. Like, I do really like Buck. This is where Buck was introduced, just to let y'all know, and he's really funny in this game. Like, oh my god, he's pretty great. Definitely the best character in this game. Like, just not even a shadow of a doubt in my mind. But also, being a game that somewhat takes place between Halos 2 and 3 and just showcasing a little bit more of New Mombasa, you know, and exemplifying what the Covenant really did, you know, like, I can at least appreciate, especially in a storytelling perspective. But, like, I'm not gonna lie, everyone else is just kind of forgettable. Like, I genuinely don't remember. Okay, I think one of them was called Mickey, if I'm not mistaken. And, okay, Romeo. Okay, so I guess they're not completely, you know, unmemorable, but, like, I just don't really care for anyone else, if I'm gonna be honest. You know, like, Rookie and Buck and Romeo, they're the only ones that, like, I kind of care about. But, like, everyone else, I don't care about. I do remember there was this one female who was, like, somewhat of the leader of the group or something like that, but I just didn't care. As a matter of fact, I thought she was kind of a bitch and really annoying. Also, I remember certain levels being a little bit confusing to figure out. And exactly where everything was. And so because of that, it's definitely not in the God tier. But I will say this. I mean, it was kind of ambitious because it was a quasi open world in terms of how the levels were made, which I find a bit interesting for what they were trying to go for. Because here's the thing. Basically, what's going on is you play as Rookie for most of the game. Rookie being like an unnamed ODST member. ODSTs being like the shock troops, but I'm not getting into that. But basically, you play as him for most of the game, and you go in between different areas, which will bring up flashbacks of the mission that was supposed to happen, and pretty much what your team was doing at the time, because you're trying to find your team or whatever. And it's a cool concept. Sorry, I'm just trying to think. It's a cool concept. And generally speaking, like a lot of the sort of the storytelling elements I thought were cool, especially a lot of the Easter egg and like collectible audio logs were cool. Also, being the game that teased Destiny, which I don't know how I feel with that because I really don't like Destiny, but whatever. It was cool in that respect. That being said, I don't know. It's just, to me, this game was just kind of boring in a lot of ways, and definitely did feel like just an expansion to Halo 3. It just felt like a campaign expansion, which at the end of the day, that is what it is. It's just an expansion to Halo 3, but like with I don't want to say shittier movement, but just a little bit more. Well, I don't know. I mean, the game looks exactly like Halo 3, just with some new weapons. The silence weapons, which they're pretty cool, but they're kind of pointless. That being said, I am actually going to put this on the good tier because there's one thing that does say this, despite the fact that I think this game is boring. Firefight. Holy shit, Firefight is amazing! Like, oh my god, like, it's kind of not a secret that I do really like horde modes, and that's essentially what this is. It's just one giant horde mode. And I love it. Like, okay, granted, it can be hard at times, especially depending on the specific map that you're doing it on. But, I don't know, it's just, to me, it is definitely just a good feeling, sort of, side game mode. And definitely more of an it does definitely feel bare bones in this game, especially compared to Halo's Reach and 5. But I at least gotta appreciate their attempt. And also being able to they actually play as different characters. Granted, you have to do a bunch of bullshit challenges in the original Halo ODST in order to unlock that stuff, but that's besides the point. But point being, to me at least, that alone puts this up into the O tier in the ODST. Like, hey, it's the ODST tier. Hell yeah. But okay, all jokes aside though, ODST, I'd say it's slightly better. Like in terms of what I prefer, I think it's slightly better than Halo Wars. But for me, it's still kind of on that line. I just prefer, the mainline Halo games over ODST, or at least the ones made by Bungie. I think in terms of the games made by Bungie, this is probably their worst one, but that doesn't make it bad at the end of the day. It just makes it okay, to me at least. That being said, let's move on to Bungie's last game, Halo Reach. So this one is a bit of a touchy one for people. Some people love this game, but there's also an underlying group of people who just despise this game. I don't know what y'all are smoking, because this game is also S tier. Like C tier, godly. Like, because the story of this game is so goddamn good. Basically, with this game, it's another spin-off game. It actually talks about the events that happened on Reach, which was mentioned in Halo 2 in a passing line. Also, it's somewhat based off of the book called The Fall of Reach, which came out in, I think, 2002, if I'm not mistaken. So, shortly after the first game. And yes, it retconned a lot of that stuff, but generally speaking, it was still a good, game. A prequel game, obviously, but a good game nonetheless. And, quite frankly, if Halo would have ended here, I probably wouldn't even be making this tier list, but B, that would be perfect. Like, this is such a good ending. Even though it's a prequel story, the main theme of this game is what really gets to me. Because the theme of this game is sacrifice. Because just a bit of a spoiler for everyone. I know it's in the title. Spoiler alert, everyone dies. Like, all of the members of Noble Team sacrifice themselves due to a personal flaw in their nature. Because, you've got, sorry, I can't remember all their names off the top of my head. It has been a while. Oh, yeah, there's George, there's Kat, there's Emil. Oh my God, who are the other guys? But, okay, basically, their strength becomes their biggest weakness. And so generally speaking, just that whole dynamic with your team, I just think it's just so goddamn interesting. For example, with George, he, obviously is basically your heavy weapons guy, but he's very compassionate and is willing to, take one up for the team for everyone. And his death reflects that, where he pretty much sacrificed himself to save you from an explosion. And that makes me sad too. Halo is a sad series. And this game definitely does not it does not fuck around. It doesn't just make a joke out of this stuff. It takes itself very goddamn seriously. Because at the end of the day, this game exemplifies it being a war game and showcases that, even if it's a fictional universe, it can still tell a war story that isn't just propaganda, and it just exemplifies that, war's bad, really bad. So, there's that. Also, obviously, the weapon box was drastically changed in this game, partially due to the fact that it is a prequel, even though it takes place in the same year as the other games, besides Halo Wars, which is a bit odd, but whatever. So, that was a contention of controversy, is that a lot of people accused this game of removing more and adding less to the game. Certain vehicles were removed, and certain weapons were removed in favor of other ones. But I think what makes up for that is definitely in multiplayer Forge, which, like I said, I'm not going to get into too much. But Forge in Halo Reach, I think, was amazing. Way more extensive than Halo 3's Forge, since that was the game that Forge was introduced. Forge being where you can customize the maps somewhat. I think Halo Reach Forge is just so much cooler. And also, a lot of the weapons that they added in were actually pretty damn cool. The DMR, for example, basically replacing the battle rifle for the game. I think that was a pretty interesting move by, just having a somewhat normal, sort of semi-automatic weapon in the game. Also, the needle rifle. Oh my God, the needle rifle and the concussion rifle, and what else was added in the game? I don't know. basically just there was a lot of cool stuff that came from Halo Reach. Also the dogfighting missions. People forget there was there was a space mission, I think a couple of them in Halo Reach, which were pretty goddamn cool. Gave me some Star Wars Battlefront 2 classic vibes, which that would have been awesome if they had that sort of game mode, but they didn't. That being said, oh yeah, and also having the skirmishers be added for the Covenant, even though they were only in this game, but they were cool. And also having a ton of variants of elites for you to fight. Oh my god, there's so many. Like, it's not even funny, it's insane. Even though customization for them was kind of gimped in this game, for multiplayer. And I'm not gonna lie, brutes were kind of gimped in this game as well in terms of like how they behaved. And I don't even know why they're in this game, by the way, because like they were like, I don't know, just kind of, it's a bit of a retcon, but whatever. Generally, well, to be fair, Halo Wars also kind of retconned them, but I'm not getting into that. Point being, though, in terms of the campaign, Halo Reach is still S tier, or C tier in this case, God tier. But Firefight in this game heavily improved from what ODST set up. Where you're able to not only you're able to customize so many more things in this. Granted, it was a little bit gimped at first because you only had like one map at one point, but then they added in more maps later on down the line, which is good. But also being able to customize your health, a loadout, the different enemies that actually spawn. So good. So good. Like, oh my god, it's pretty good, generally speaking. So, generally speaking, I would still put this game at S tier. Some people would not put it at S tier at all. They probably put it in O, maybe even like G tier, which I guess that makes sense, but it's like it's not that bad of a game, like it's actually really good. I'd say, actually, as a matter of fact, hot take for y'all, I'd say it's probably my second favorite Halo game overall. Because like I said, I really do like Halo Reach multiplayer. Like, I'd say Halo Reach in terms of multiplayer is definitely my favorite. So, that being said, though, unfortunately, that's all of the Bungie era games. So yeah, we got all the games from the 2000s and also Reach. Which, it's just weird to think that all these games are over 10 years old now. I'm getting old. I hate it. Like, all these games are great. And like I said, generally speaking, like, if Halo ended with Reach, I actually would be a happy man. Because guess what? Like I said, all 6 of these games, even if, I prefer certain games over others, they're still really damn good games at the end of the day. And highly respectable, not only for the FPS genre, obviously minus Halo Wars, but also establishing a pretty goddamn cool universe where, the dynamics between the different factions is pretty much what exemplifies Halo as we know it. And, it's pretty cool. But then an upset occurred. After Halo Reach, Bungie moved on to do, more things. They signed the Blood Pact with Activision Blizzard and gave the Halo license to Microsoft. And then 343 Studios was made. They made Halo Anniversary, which, Halo Anniversary, it's respectable, generally speaking, like being a remaster amongst one of the many remasters from the last decade to be released for Halo 1, and it was good, even though it sucked that they didn't have Halo 1 remastered multiplayer, but it's whatever. Halo Reach multiplayer is so cool. Then they worked on their first game, Halo 4. So Halo 4, How do I put it? How do I put Halo 4? Oh yeah. Halo 4.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. Not good. I'm sorry, but like this game's bad. This one kills me too because like here's the thing about Halo 4. In concept, it's actually not a bad game. In concept, it actually sounds really cool. So, and yes, I know I'm wearing this 343 Arrow Halo shirt, which by the way, that makes me sad because I wish it was one of the early games, but whatever. Here's the thing about Halo 4 that does sound cool. So, this game, a lot of the marketing that showcased with this game was exemplifying the new threat for the Halo universe, the Prometheans. And, you know, the Prometheans, generally speaking, in concept, I actually don't hate. Hot take for y'all, I actually am glad that they decided to add in a new faction to the game. Why? Because even though I love Halo, and I love the Bungie Halo games, at the end of the day, it was mostly just humans versus Covenant, with maybe the Flood, depending on what game you were playing and what level you were playing. And quite frankly, that did kind of get old really fast, especially by Halo Reach, which, like I said, I love Halo Reach, but you're just fighting the same enemies that you've been fighting for like a decade by that point. And so, adding a new faction to Halo 4, like I said, I'm not against at the end of the day. Like, I think that was a good idea. It should have been an idea, though. Or at least, they should have changed it because these guys are the most annoying motherfuckers that I've ever fought. Okay, maybe not the most annoying, because guess what? Jackal Sniper is really annoying. But oh my fucking god. These guys suck! Especially the knights and the floating guys. I can't even remember their name. Oh my god. These guys are so dumb and annoying. I hate them so much. I hate them so much. 'Cause here's the thing. So, just like with the Covenant and with the Flood, they actually try to divide each enemy by, like, class or type, right? You've got like the crawler guys for the your crawler guys with your main enemies, and then you've got I don't even remember the enemies. That's a thing. The enemies in this game just have the same sort of look, which was just annoying. But the two most annoying motherfuckers was the flying guys. I think they were called Watchers, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look that up. Yeah, these motherfucking Watchers. Basically, these guys would revive. Yeah, these guys would basically just revive dead enemies, like, or enemies that you've slain that were on the Promethean side. Yeah, no, they were kind of annoying as hell. Also, the other annoying enemy were the fucking Promethean Knights, basically the equivalent to the Covenant Hunters. These guys were fucking bullshit because they're especially the teleporter guys. Not all of them teleported, but some of them did, and they would teleport behind you and one-shot you, and that pissed me the hell off so many times. Oh my god, it was bad. Like, these enemies did not have proper balancing at all, and they needed to have at least 6 months more in the cooker, because, like, there was, like, seriously, like, you had no time to react, which was bullshit. I swear to God. Like, yeah, no, these guys were bad. Like I said, and I like the concept too, but Also, the Diadact, the leader for the Prometheans in this game, he's dumb as hell. Oh my god, like I don't even remember what he was trying to freaking do. But the complaints that people were giving when it comes to the Prophet of the Truth, for basically him being a stereotypical villain in Halo 3. Yeah, no, I would have just applied that with a Diadact in Halo 4, because he was just evil for just being evil. Granted, to be fair, there was some background lore that explained his sort of thing and all that sort of mess. But honestly, I just don't care, to be quite frank. So, also, dude, the Covenant in this game. Dude, what is their AI in this game? The Covenant AI is trash. Or, like, I don't want to call them Covenant because I know they're technically a bunch of different, like, mercenaries and cults and all that stupid shit. But, like, whenever you do fight, Covenant-like enemies in this game, they are just way too easy. Because, yeah, that's how the balancing works. The Prometheans are way too fucking bullshit. But the Covenant guys, they're a breeze. And that's not good. They should be in the middle. They should be in the middle. Because even on Legendary difficulty, these guys were easy. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Well, they were easy if you had ammo. Because guess what? This game has an ammo problem. Which is not good. Especially if it's your 6th FPS game in. You should already know how to fucking manage ammo by this point. So that was kind of unacceptable. Also, the story, I'm sorry, but the story was low-key kind of cringy. I mean, the fact that, like, no one in the UNSC trusts Chief, and that everyone was just kind of addicted. Yeah, everyone was just kind of addicted to Chief in this game. Like, oh my god, dude. It was, oh my god. Yeah, I did not like a single character that wasn't, freaking Chief. Which, by the way, I know Chief definitely talked way more in this game than he did before. Once again, I'm not against that, but I don't know if I liked his dynamic with Cortana in this game. Like, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. Like, and the biggest problem with Halo 4 is just the writing, or at least in terms of its story. It's just the writing was just so weak, because, like, they were just, oh my god. I don't know. I don't really want to focus on Halo 4 too much, because, like, I really don't like this game. Also, the fact that they replaced Firefight with this stupid fucking, I don't even know what they called it, but the fact that they replaced Firefight was kind of insulting. So, generally speaking, and also just relegating the Flood to Infection and ruining them, and also just the multiplayer in general with this game was just kind of garbage. I don't want to get into that, but yeah, no, this game, while not the worst game in the world, because once again, I think in terms of concept, it does sound like it could be a good game. It just wasn't a good. I hate using this argument because I think this is a lazy fallacy argument. But in terms of, I'll make an exception for this, it's just not good in terms of Halo. And even then, it just doesn't feel like a good game at points. And that's just sad. So, granted, to be fair, this is 343's first major game. But it's like, at the same time, why'd you start off with a Halo game? Like, especially 2 years after Reach. Granted, ODST was like a year before Reach, but like, that was more of a side project. So it's like, yeah, no, this is just not, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it, man. So, yeah, no, that's kind of how I feel about Halo 4. It's, once again, Anthony Fantano, can you explain exactly what this game's like?
It's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. You know what else isn't good? Halo Spartan Assault. Take it away, Fantano.
It's not good.
Oh, I screwed that up. Don't worry, I'll fix this. Hold on. Go on.
It's not good.
Oh my god, I'm not pressing the freaking button. Come on. Fantano, where are you?
Skillet album.
Not skill.
It's not good.
Thank you. Thank you for your opinion on Spartan Assault. Okay. Yeah, no, this game is not good. So this is actually a so yeah. For those who don't know, this game is a top-down thumb shooter. Like, you know, similar to like a game like Contra, for example, or some of the newer Contra games, I should specify. You know, it's a top-down arcade shooter. It's fine, you know, like it's just okay. It's not the worst thing I've ever played in my life, but like it just kind of feels pointless, you know? Like I don't really have anything else to say about this game, to be honest. Like it doesn't really have a lot of relevance to like the plot other than Sarah Palmer, but who fucking cares about her? And like, you know, maybe some stuff relating to Halo 4 and leading up to Halo 5, but it just exists, you know? Like there's just better games in this genre, you know, in this arcade, you know, thumb twitch shooter, you know, third person thing. Like that's all I gotta really say about this game. Like I don't have anything else to say other than it exists and that it's just kind of pointless. Like I don't know what else to say. Let's move on. It did get a sequel, Spartan Strike. I have not played this game, mainly just because this game looks really bad. Even worse than Spartan Assault, which is saying a lot. That being said, I actually have not played this, so I can't really say anything about this. So, like, yeah. But, yeah, no, I just don't really care. Granted, you know, it's not that I, like, you know, hate this sort of style of game. It's just, it doesn't really fit Halo all that much. I mean, yes, you can make the argument, well, Halo Wars doesn't fit any other games. But, like, at least it was still a good, solid foundation for being an RTS that fits the Halo license. But, like, these two games just don't really feel like they fit. They feel more arcadey, and that just doesn't really fit, at least in terms of, like, the story side of things. In terms of multiplayer, yeah, no, it's an arena. It's like a arena. I don't want to call it a Twitch shooter, but it's like an arena-based arcade shooter, like, at the end of the day. But, like, it still had a little bit, you know, of realism in it, but these games just don't really feel like that. So, That being said, though, you thought Halo 4 was bad? Halo 5. So, I actually played this the first time, like, in my life, this past August. This game is trash. Oh my god. Like, in the... Man. This is the game that does kind of make me worried about Infinite, if I'm going to be honest, because this game is bad. Really, really bad. Because... I've seen so many videos just talking about this game, and I wanted to experience it for myself, you know, because I've heard this game had, you know, awful level design, annoying AI companions, a really confusing story, a bullshit fucking ending, repetitive, you know, mission structure, the fact that you barely get to play as Chief, and you play as Locke instead for most of the game. It's like, that's all from what I heard. And whenever I first played this finally for the first time, because like I said, I have not played this game because I haven't had an Xbox One. I didn't really get any, you know, I've heard, you know, pretty mixed to bad things about this game. And so I wanted to try it out for the first time. God help me. Please don't add this to Master Chief Collection, because this game is just bad. Like, you know, this game, here's the problem with this game. it doesn't know what to do with its story at the end of the day. Because basically the story goes like this. So after the events of Halo 4, Master Chief is considered to be going, quote unquote, he's gone, quote unquote, rogue. Which is kind of bullshit, considering these 3 games and how he was able to save humanity. Like, who the fuck thinks that Chief fucking does that shit? Just completely abandons the UNSC and humanity as a result of what he did. Bullshit. And so, obviously, that happens, and then this leads into, I think it's Blue team is Chief. There's Osiris team where you get Locke, who is another Spartan. You also, Buck is also reintroduced in Halo 5 from ODST. He becomes a Spartan somehow. And they make Osiris team. Hopefully I didn't get those switch around. I don't fucking care. It's the same shit. And they pretty much just try to find Chief, because Chief is basically trying to figure out, like, he basically has a bunch of like visions of like Cortana or whatever, and because of that, UNSC thinks he's gone rogue, so they send Osiris team to find him, and it's the most just dreary and most boring game or one of the most boring stories that I've played in my life. And it's so confusing too, because like obviously, like, the first level, obviously with like the Covenant fighting, or I don't know, it's not the Covenant, it's some sort of fucking splinter group. Like, it's really dumb. Like, also, this was like whenever I first got exposed to the bullshit fucking AI companions, which, AI companions aren't anything new in Halo. We've had them since Halo 1. And so, you would think that, by 2015 they would have improved and even, make your companions, pretty good, right? Well, here's the thing. They give you a revive mechanic similar to something from, akin to like Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty Zombies, World of War, Black Ops 3 campaign co-op, right? Problem is that sometimes the AI will pick you up and sometimes the AI will not. It is completely random and really frustrating. Like, I nearly broke my cousin's controller, because of how fucking pissed off I got with that. Like, that really did piss me off. Because it's like, dude, fucking revive me. Like, dude, I'm down, dumbass. Like, that really pissed me off. Also, stupid Warden Eternal. I swear to God. Dude, the Warden Eternal is a boss that they recycled, like, 6 or 7 times in a row. It just got annoying as hell. Like, dude, I don't care about this guy. He's just annoying as fuck. Like, just get him away. Like, yeah, if you make me want to rather have the Diadact instead of your Warden Eternal, you have a fucking problem. Because the Diadact was just forgettable. The fucking Warden Eternal was annoying as hell. Also, I'm just gonna call it out right now. The false advertisement between Chief and Locke is unforgivable. Like, this is something that did kind of piss me off in retrospect. Basically, a lot of the trailers with Halo 5 showed that there was going to be a fight between Chief and Locke. And that would have been dope. Like, dude, imagine if you were playing as Locke and you had a fucking boss battle with the Chief himself. That would have been cool. Like, and that would have wounded me even. That would have hurt. Like, That would have hurt. That would have played with my emotions, man, because the Chief is awesome. You can't diss the Chief. Unfortunately, though, here's your problem. They relegated it to a pretty shitty cutscene where they wrestle with each other and then just both of the fucking teams just look at each other like idiots. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, dude, that is literally false advertisement. Like, you can get your fucking ass sued for that. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, that... Like, seriously, like, that pissed me off. Like, what was the point with the advertisement? Like, I don't want to show it because I don't want to get Monka TOS'd, but, like, go look up Halo 5 Guardians ads, and, like, watch all the ones that have Chief and Locke fight each other. And then, if you haven't played Halo 5, or you don't even have it, look up Locke versus Chief Halo 5 gameplay. I shit you not, it will piss you off. Also, bringing back Cortana as a rogue AI, nah, that's not Cortana. As a matter of fact, you kind of ruined her character just a little bit, because, like, she completely acts differently in Halo 5 than she did in any other Halo game. Which is like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why is she like that? Yeah, no, I hate Halo 5. Like, seriously, it literally just, I'm sorry. If you like Halo 5, more power to you. As a matter of fact, go ahead, like this game. But man, you've done fucked it up, 343. Also, here's the problem. This is another game that had some dumbass development cycle or whatever. Which, you know, especially considering what's going on right now involving Halo Infinite, makes me really think that maybe 343 Studios should probably not be even a studio at all because of just the amount of drama. I'm just saying, man, like, it's actually kind of concerning. That being said, this game's bad. Don't play this game. This, in my opinion, like, even though Halo 4 I don't think is a good game, it's not as bad as Halo 5. Halo 5 is just awful. Like, missed potential, bullshit fucking gameplay. Granted, I will say this. I think it's interesting that they finally decided to go away with, like, some of the weird zoom-ins for, like, when you're zooming in through a weapon. You actually ADS similar to, like, every other shooter game. You know, similar to, like, Battlefield, COD, Rainbow Six, you know, all those. And I'm not gonna lie, it's cool, but my god, like, what's the point if it's just salad dressing, you know? Like, to such a god-awful story and, you know, campaign. Like, I'm not even mad at the chill out, like, missions, or even the fact that the game is short. Because this is a really short campaign. Like, one of the shortest in the series. Like, maybe even the shortest. But, like, I don't know. This game's just bad. I kind of want to move on. Like, don't play Halo 5. Like, just don't. If you want your day ruined, then Halo 5 is for you. Don't play it if you don't want your day ruined. The game's bad. With that in mind, surprisingly enough, we're actually ending on a pretty positive note. Because guess what? We've got Halo Wars 2. And, quite frankly, this might be a bit controversial, and I understand why. I'm going to put this one in God tier. I'm going to put this one on the Chief tier. So, this game is actually made by Creative Assembly, the same people who made the Total War series. And, you know, you all know me. I'm familiar with the Total War franchise. Like, love a lot of those games. And to see them, tackle an RTS and, follow in the footsteps with what Ensemble was building up to, I gotta give them props. They did really damn good. And also, making the Banished basically be the Covenant equivalent that makes sense. It's pretty cool. Granted, Captain Cutter, he's still kind of bland in this game, but like he's definitely written way better than like he was in the first Halo Wars game. And also just, dude, the amount of like units and the amount of like stuff that you can do, which obviously expanded on what Halo Wars 1 was building up to. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually pretty cool to see. So, and the story, I'd say the story was all right. Like, I'd probably put it in the same category. Okay, actually, no, I'd say it's a little bit better than ODST. Like, definitely for sure. But I definitely would say that like it does dip a little bit, like because this game, similar to the first Halo Wars, it's definitely more about its gameplay at the end of the day, which, like I said, is so goddamn solid. And like I said, it's a big breath of fresh air that I've got to at least appreciate. So, and also, I don't know. It's just basically what a lot of people were wanting from Halo Wars 1 at the end of the day. And I can't really just give the game justice without really showcasing it to you. Fortunately, I can't because I don't have the game right now because I don't have Game Pass, nor do I think is it even on Steam right now. I know Halo Wars 1 is, but I don't think Halo Wars. Okay, yeah, it's not. Microsoft, release it on freaking Steam. No one cares about the Xbox Game Store except for Game Pass, but whatever. Anyways. So, yeah, no. It's a good game. It's actually really good at RTS game. Like, I don't think it's one of my personal favorites, but in terms of some of the more recent ones, i.e. RTS games released in the past decade, it's definitely one of the best. That being said, I gotta talk about the microtransactions. So, I'm not gonna. Okay, granted, it's not as scummy as it was in fucking Halo 5. I know I didn't talk about the multiplayer for Halo 5. That would be a whole other can of worms. But basically, in that game's multiplayer, it had these things called requisition packs, which were basically loot boxes that had all the armor and stuff, which was kind of bullshit. And so they kind of, I don't even remember what they did with this game. Basically, they had like a card pack system, I'm pretty sure, in this game. Granted, I didn't play the mode too much. I mostly just played a bunch of skirmish. Oh yeah. Basically, it was basically like some sort of an upgrade thing, where if you had like a higher level character or something like that, it would just kind of not be fun for other. Yeah. But yeah, no, that part was kind of lame. Granted, that was fixed, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, it's been a while since I played this game, to be fair. Um Sorry, I'm just trying to look at this. Yeah, no, that's probably the biggest part of it. That's probably the biggest problem is the microtransaction issue. Granted, I can't necessarily say anything about that because once again, I don't particularly play a lot of PvP multiplayer. I did play a lot of that sort of like skirmish, not skirmish, a lot of that like firefight like game mode in this game. And that was pretty fun. Granted, it was difficult as balls, but it was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, no, generally speaking, like to me, the reason why it is at godly though is because it's it's basically a refined version of Halo Wars 1, like throughout the board. And that's why I like about it. Granted, yes, it can get easy at times and it sometimes can get really freaking hard. But I think the balancing, generally speaking, I think makes it up into godly tier. Because once again, it's not a bad game at the end of the day. As a matter of fact, I really like this game. But like, I definitely would not consider it to be, the best RTS game out there. Hell, as you can see, it's not even the best Halo games. Because I still personally think that like Halo 1 is probably my personal favorite. So. But yeah, no, it's still a good game. I would still check it out. Just be cautious of those microtransactions and just a lot of the pay to win stuff if you are going to get into PvP. So there's that. But in any event, that is it for the Halo tier list. And now this is officially the shortest stream for these tier lists that I've ever done. So in terms of just my general ranking of the games, like I said, the worst one is Halo 5. It's not even doubt in my mind. And then Spartan Assault, then Halo 4. Then, okay, I think I put Halo Wars, and then ODST, and then Halo 2, and then Halo Wars 2. And then Reach and 3 can really be interchangeable, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it depends on my mood. Sometimes I really like Halo 3 more. Sometimes I like Halo Reach more. Right now, I'm going to put them just kind of in the release order. But no matter what, though, Halo 1 is still my personal favorite. Mainly because of all the reasons that I already listed earlier. Also, one more reason. It's the first game in the series that I actually played. So, I might be a little bit biased. But yeah, no, that is every single Halo game. Like, I know this was a bit shorter in comparison to some of the other tier lists, which that's probably a good thing considering what's been going on. Once again, I do apologize that it was just me. I was going to have Izzy on here, but then something happened and it was a bit of a mess, to be honest. But at least I was able to get this done. And yeah, it was still cool to be able to talk about Halo. Oh shoot. It was still cool to be able to just talk about, Halo in its own tier list besides the top 100 FPS. Because I wanted to go more in depth and just explain a bunch of stuff. Because once again, Halo is one of my favorite franchises. Like, I think people just assume because I play a lot of PlayStation that I would not care for Halo, but that's not the case. That's actually quite frankly the opposite. It would be cool to see if they do ever put Halo on PlayStation. I highly doubt it. Like, that just would not, no. But generally speaking, it's still a franchise that I respect in terms of lore, the Bungie games, and just introducing me to the Chief, because like I said multiple times, you can't diss the Chief. You just can't. He's great. Even though, like, he's one of the few badass silent protagonists that make it work. And okay, not completely silent, but silent enough, and you gotta give props. And also just building on, from Halo 1 with, Halo 2 and its really fantastic take on, religion, Halo 3 with companionship, ODST with finding, your people, I guess, just, being able to find your way back, Halo Reach when it comes to sacrifice, Halo Wars when it comes to like a lot more just the context from, earlier on in the war. And then Halo Wars 2 when it comes to like say identity. I don't want to say identity, but basically just taking on like a different foe, I guess. Just being able to come up with like different like solutions to a different problem that you're not used to. Hell, even like Halo 4, which is just about compassion at the end of the day. Like, that's basically what Halo 4 story is about. And Halo 5, as much as I don't like it, it is a story about betrayal at the end of the day. So, at least every single main, like, at least most of the games do have a theme. I don't know what the theme of the Spartan games are. I'm sorry. And that's just what I like about Halo, is that it's a lot more philosophical than people make it out to be. As a matter of fact, I find it hypocritical that a lot of people who are just, anti-politics in games, anti-religion in games, like those types of people, really do love Halo. I'm not going to name any names, but like, it does. Halo it's just one of those things where it's like, it's so blatant about it. But even with that, a lot of people can still enjoy it at the end of the day. And that's just something that I can't take away from this game at the end of the day. So yeah, no. Either way, let's just hope that Halo Infinite will be amazing once again. I am excited about it, especially with the multiplayer. Multiplayer looks fucking awesome, but I'm still really just concerned about the freaking campaign. Please make it good. If you don't, oh no. Like, that's not gonna be, that's gonna be, I'm gonna do it for one more time. Yeah, if Halo Infinite is, gonna fail, that's gonna be,
It's not good.
So, yeah, please make it good. But, 343. That being said, that is another tier list done within the Sly Army tier list series. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you guys were able to stick around, you guys are legends. Even though this is the shortest one that I've ever done, because this is just fun to do. Even if it's just by myself. At the end of the day, I still like doing these. And because I did this one, that does mean I'm going to make sure that we can try to do more of these. Hopefully life doesn't get in the way like what happened earlier, so that'll be nice. But in any event, yeah, no, that's going to be it. If you guys did enjoy this, make sure to hit that follow button down below and turn on the bell icon so that you'll be notified exactly when I'll be streaming. While you guys are at it, make sure to check out all links down below as well, specifically the Discord and the SoundCloud. And if you guys are interested as well, you can also hit that subscribe button. If you can't do that, that's completely fine. I'm just glad you took your time to watch this. But if you want an incentive, if we can reach 5 subscribers, Super Nintendo up there. But yeah, no. Either way, I'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow finishing up Sly 2. That'll be awesome. But yeah, no. I'll see you guys hopefully in the near future. I'm gonna head out now because I'm tired. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.